of St. Tammany. In March, they began to solidify their interest by enrolling others into their project. Today, 24 civic organizations represented by many active members have worked diligently to produce the conference. In the process, they've raised over $3,000 so that all members of the parish are able to participate with only a donation to the plastics bin. The park committee members have long been aware of the problems of incineration, the waste of our overburdened landfills, and the devastating effect on our groundwater. In order to have all of you aware and in a position to choose to do something, the committee members have given up many more hours than one Saturday. The Pontchatrain Area Recycling Conference is a multi-level course in recycling. The gathered experts are here to give of their vast knowledge and interest on recycling. The committee's request, if they were to voice it, is for you, the citizens of the Lake Pontchartrain area, to take advantage of the lectures, the book fair, the exhibits, and this afternoon's breakaway sessions to learn all you can about recycling. Governor Buddy Roma has issued a proclamation creating October 1988 Recycling Awareness Month, and today, October 22nd, 1988, Recycling Awareness Day. The governor is joined by a list of other communities, such as the city of Slidell, the town of Abita Springs, the city of Covington, the city of Mandeville, St. Tammany Parish Police Jury, the town of Madisonville, the city of New Orleans, the parishes of Jefferson, Washington, Tangipahoa, the city of Kenner, and the town of Franklinton in issuing proclamations. All these proclamations can be seen outside in the hall. The state's proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the state of Louisiana is facing critical problems in disposing its solid waste in an environmentally safe and cost-effective manner, and whereas severe restrictions on landfills and public opposition to incinerators have raised new interest in recycling as at least part of the solid waste solution, and whereas each citizen of the state takes part in contributing to the waste stream and therefore should be part of the solution, now therefore I, Buddy Romer, Governor of the state of Louisiana, do hereby proclaim the month of October 1988 as Recycling Awareness Month and October 22nd, 1988 as Recycling Awareness Day in the state of Louisiana, and urge all Louisianians to learn the facts about recycling and to take an active part in area recycling campaigns. Joining us in this search of knowledge are many of our elected officials of the area. Park would like to acknowledge them at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand as I call your name and office. Clayton Bourne, who's a Park member. Patricia Pat Clanton, Covington City Council. Barbara Colthorpe, Director of Louisiana Litter and Control and Recycling. We have a few more coming today, and as they do arrive, I will be mentioning their names. Roy LeBlanc, Bessie Board, Congressional District 1. Johnny Livingston, Pearl River Alderman. Robert L. Bob Livingston, U.S. Representative, Congressional District 1. Jack McGuire, Mandeville City Council. And John Sarpy, who is District Manager for Congressman Livingston. Butch Stiegel, DEQ Recycling Department, and Dr. Paul Temple, Secretary of Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. It is obvious you share our concerns. Along with the book fair, the proclamations, and the exhibits outside of the gym, in the halls is the petition to ban styrofoam in the state of Louisiana. You may sign this petition, if you wish, at any of our breaks during the day. The League of Women Voters of St. Tammany have made available for purchase a voter's key listing names, addresses, and phone numbers of our state officials. I have a copy of it right here. It's this little red booklet. You may purchase it at any time, and it's also out, I believe, in the corner over here. In the back of your program, there is an evaluation form. Please fill in the form and leave it with us today. However, Park's address is on the form if you wish to mail it in at a later time. For those of you who do fill it in today, there are bins in the halls to collect them at any time this afternoon. The conference schedule for adults is located on page 4 of your program. Pages 16, 17, and 18 list the 24 active civic organizations and those hard-working professionals who volunteered many hours to make today possible. As you see them throughout the day, please thank them. I would like to ask Representative Livingston if he would come up for a few moments and say a few words. Long legs, great. Oh,
got it.
Before you move.
No, I don't
yes.
need that. Does this work? Yeah, this works fine.
It works fine, except that we're taping.
Oh, okay. I don't know if this thing's working or not.
He says it is.
Okay. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Congratulations on holding this conference. I want to compliment you. This is one of the great problems of our age. In fact, I think it could be said that we're literally up to our necks and ears in trash throughout the country. We see on the news what's happened on the New Jersey coast with the medical waste floating up on the beaches and the seashores. We see that right here in our own area in Louisiana, we have landfills that we can't control and more trash than we can put into the landfills. And we, at the bottom of the Mississippi River watershed area, seem to be the recipients of the trash and perhaps sometimes the chemical waste and other wastes of all of the rest of the country. So we're acutely aware of it. We know in terms of hazardous waste that we have high cancer rates and problems that arise on a constant basis from our inadequate disposal procedures. And in terms of simple garbage, we've just got more than we know what to do with. So it's my hope that conferences of this sort will increase the public awareness of what we can do. I've seen some of the great exhibits outside of what has been done with unused waste or recycled waste, and I think that obviously that's the way that we're going to ultimately be able to control the material that we no longer can afford to have around. We need to maximize our ability to recycle. We need to modernize and streamline and clean up our collection capacities and our disposal capabilities, and to as great a degree as possible, I think we need to rely on private initiatives. Lots of people always have problems and they turn to the federal government or to the state or local governments and say solve them, but it's really the ingenuity of the private sector that solves the greatest problems of our times. And so it's my hope that the private market, in full and fair competition, can provide the answers and the ingenuity that we really need to solve these serious problems. Conferences like this will provide the seed and the germination of ideas for those solutions, but then it's up to individual companies and, yes, for the purposes of profit, P-R-O-F-I-T, not a bad word, who will go out there and devise ways and techniques to dispose of the materials that threaten us. While I'm at it, I can't help but note on a related subject that a few years ago, actually for a period of 10 years, Louisiana was one of the states that was being considered to be the dump site of nuclear hazardous waste, the stuff that comes out of nuclear generators that we've never really been able to determine what to do with. After a great deal of time, roughly 10 years, and a lot of consideration and deliberation by various commissions, it has been decided that Nevada was the place where we were going to put it. Nevadans weren't excited about that, believe me, but since they had a low population and a great deal of geographical diversity, it was determined that was the safest place to put it. I just have to note that in the presidential campaign this season, just about in the last 2 months, one of the candidates went over to Nevada and promised them that they would reopen the idea and the issue and reconsider where to put the stuff. It was a good vote-getting technique in Nevada, but it was bad politics for the rest of the states, and we in Louisiana may be one of the recipients. So I hope that you'll be alert to that issue and protest if they want to put hazardous nuclear waste back here when all of the experts say that Nevada's the right place to put it. So once again, I just want to say thank you for having me here. Thank you for putting on this conference. I hope that we'll see more of these as time goes on, and more fledgling companies such as those depicted out with the exhibits outside in the hall growing, and that this becomes a major industry, a major competitive industry for folks who will end up taking away that trash that threatens all of our health and safety, livelihoods, and those of our families. Thank you very much.
I envy those long legs. Before we continue, before we have our invocation, I would like to mention some of the corporate contributors. The CanCom International Incorporated from Marietta, Georgia, Developmental Waste Enterprises Incorporated from Bogalusa, Louisiana, the Ecological Technologies Incorporated, Fort Worth, Texas, Harris Press, HRB, North Richland Hills, Texas, Mid-America Glass Recycling Program, Buena Vista, Arkansas, P&W Industries Parish Concrete, Covington, Louisiana, Recovery Technologists Incorporated, Mandeville, Louisiana, SC Recycling Corporation, New Orleans, and Southern All Metals Recycling Incorporated, Slidell, Louisiana. The invocation will be delivered this morning by the Reverend Dr. J. Richard Short. Dr. Short graduated from Davidson College in Davidson, North Carolina with a BA degree and a major in American history in 1966. He was assistant football coach at Davidson from 1966 to 67. He traveled in Europe on a motor scooter, covering 12 countries in 10 weeks through the summer of 67. He spent his seminary internship year in national politics in 69 and 70, working as a research assistant for Senator Gaylord Nelson, Democrat, Wisconsin, who was a longtime leader in environmental issues. While working on staff, Dr. Short did the primary research on a bill that became law which prohibited the shooting of timber wolves from airplanes. He received his Master of Divinity degree from Union Theological Seminary in Richmond, Virginia in 1971. In his senior year, he was student body president and was awarded one of 4 graduate fellowships for further study. He received his Master of Sacred Theology degree from Yale Divinity School in 1972 and his Doctor of Ministry degree from McCormick Theological Seminary in Chicago in 1979. He is presently serving as pastor of the New Covenant Presbyterian Church in Mandeville, a position he has held for the past 10 years. Reverend Short.
I want to say it's a great pleasure for me to share a few words with you before the invocation. I'm here by mistake. That is, that another pastor was asked and he couldn't be here, so I'm glad to be here. I got to thinking about it in the last couple of weeks when after I was asked to do this, where my interest in recycling began. I have been very interested in the environment for many, many years. I thought about it this morning when I was taking my coffee grounds and my eggshells out to my compost pile, and this wild cat in the backyard had come up and delivered a squirrel tail and a back end of a squirrel plus a squirrel tail. So all that goes in my compost pile. But if you promise you won't tell anybody, this is really kind of embarrassing. I think the real reason why I got interested in the environment and recycling and that sort of thing was when I was a small child visiting my grandparents in Meridian, Mississippi. My grandmother, whenever any of us wanted to go to the bathroom, made, any one person going to the bathroom meant that everybody in the house had to go so we could use one flush to get all of the waste down at one time. So please don't tell anybody that. but it's interesting how little bitty things like that sometimes get part of your consciousness and then get submerged, and it comes out in hopefully more constructive ways. I'm glad that this recycling conference is beginning with invocation. When you think about it, the record that we have of God's activities with human beings, that is the Bible, begins with the story about God creating the world and then calling it good. I think of the psalmist when he says, "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof." And so that's the first thing that we want to say this morning, that this world that we have is God's creation. And the second thing I think we need to say is that not only did He create it and called it good, but the second thing is that He gave it away. He gave it to us, to you and I, for safekeeping. He gave it to us for us to take care of this good gift. In the centuries that have followed that gift, our stewardship of this planet has been mixed. Sometimes we have done a good job and other times not so good. And as Representative Livingston has just indicated, at this particular point in our history, I don't think any of us need to be reminded that we stand at a crucial juncture. Our drinking water, our air, our ozone layer, our soil are all at the breaking point. Many years ago, my statistics may be wrong now, but many years ago, I read that our nation, who is the leader of this world in so many good things, is also the leader of the world in terms of consumption. We have 6% of the world's population, and yet we consume 40% of the resources. Now, please notice that I use the words exhaust and consume. I thank God for a conference such as this, that we may begin to use verbs like conserve and recycle rather than exhaust and consume. Let us now pray for God's blessings on what may happen today and also what will happen tomorrow as a result of what will happen today. Let us pray. Almighty God, You created this world and You called it good. Then You gave it to us to manage, to take care of it. We confess that we have taken this precious gift for granted too often. We have been guilty of assuming that the world was like an overindulgent parent that can just give and give and give without our realizing that there may be a limit to that giving to us. Help us, O Lord, to begin to take responsibility for the resources that You have so graciously given to us. Thank You for those responsible for conceiving and organizing such a conference today. Thank You for those whose presence here today indicates a desire for better stewardship of Your gifts. May we all be motivated today to do more than we have done in preserving and conserving and recycling, so that we can begin to live more in harmony and balance with this beautiful world, and that we may also influence others to do the same. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a word of logistics before we continue. The map that is in your program apparently is inaccurate. Please use your map addenda. Is Carolyn Munster in the room? Carolyn, I would like Carolyn Munster of Park to come to the podium for a few moments. And while she's doing that, Dr. Templet, if you'd like to come up here, you'll be next.
We would like to thank you for coming here, and we are members of Park. I'm Carolyn Munster and the treasurer, and we do thank you for sending in the checks and participating. I'd like everyone else to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Keith Milligan. I'm chairman of the exhibits and also helped pick this site for our conference today. I've been with Park since the onset at the very beginning.
I'm Harry Boggs with Telephone Pioneers, and Malene said if I was real good, she would give me the job of hauling off all the garbage. I really appreciate that.
At this time, I'd like to call Willene Glasgow up and present her with Chairman's plaque for spearheading this to make it today. We made it. We made it. Every morning at 7 o'clock. Carolyn, are you ready? Well, we're here.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me mention one thing about the lights. That's what's making the noise. They take a while to warm up. You can understand about teenagers now, I think. They have to hear this noise all the time. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Paul H. Templett, PhD, is a chemical physicist. Currently, Dr. Templett is serving in the capacity of Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. He previously taught and worked in the field of environmental chemistry and environmental planning and management as an associate professor at Louisiana State University's Institute for Environmental Studies in Baton Rouge. Dr. Templett coordinated the establishment of coastal zone management programs in Louisiana and American